Hello everyone, Saturn here, giving you some beginner tips on Stellaris regarding exploration with one of the latest versions, Cepheus version 3.4.2 with the Overlord DLC. Let's get into it. First tip for exploration is going to be really heavily talking about surveying systems, because that's what you do right away. When you first start the game, you'll have only one science ship. You can tell right now I have 3, and that's kind of our first tip. So our first tip is don't just stay with one science ship. You can create multiple ones. And how you do this is you go to your shipyard, and when you have enough alloys, you can queue up another science ship. So that's what I had here. So with 100 alloys, you can create a new science ship. Problem is, once the science ship is complete, it'll be empty. So you'll have to click on your empty science ship, then you'll have to click on the spot where the leader needs to be. You then have to recruit a new scientist, and you can look at their traits and see which ones are better. It'll cost you 100 Unity to recruit a new scientist. And as you can see down in the list, there are different scientists that are better for this. For example, this one has a survey speed of 25%. So as it goes to each system and surveys it, it's going to be 25% faster. So definitely that's tip number 1. Make sure you have multiple science ships going on. Now that you got multiple science ships up and running, you want to be able to automate this a little bit so you don't have to micromanage so much. So this is tip number 2. You can click on your science ship. You can then hold down the shift key, right click a system and hit survey system. While still holding the shift key, you can choose another system and choose survey, and the next one and survey. Now these will go through all these systems if possible and survey each system. If it does run into an enemy, it may stop and it may jump out into another system, but you'll get a warning up here up top. So this is a good way if you got multiple science ships going, which you should, and maybe going in different directions, such as I'm going here to the west and then maybe have another science ship going to the north. You can queue up a bunch of systems, and then you don't have to sit there and micromanage. Now that you got multiple science ships zooming around, exploring all the different systems, how can we make this faster, and why do we want to make this faster? Well, the reason why is because we cannot claim any of these systems. You can see the system name is gray, and when it's grayed out and not fully explored, you can't build a star system and you can't build mining stations. So the system right now is not claimed by you and is pretty much useless. So that we want to race this and try to get as many of these as possible and grow. Unless you're building tall, which is a completely different strategy we could go over. But in most cases, the more systems you have, the better off you're going to be, at least in the beginning. So that's why we want to make sure that we're exploring and surveying all the systems. But how do we make this faster? Well, one way, and this is tip number 3, is you can go up to your Unity and click it. And underneath this, you'll see that there's different traditions. This is the tradition screen. As you get more Unity over time, I'm collecting 34 a month. You'll be able to choose new traditions and then also the attributes that are underneath it. So discovery is probably one of the best first traditions to choose. And when you first choose it and unlock it, you do get 2 abilities. One called an edict, which is map to stars, and that's really huge. So we're gonna go and check that out. And also anomaly research speed, and we'll talk about anomalies in our last tip. So let's look at map to stars and what the heck is an edict. So under here and under edicts, these are things, again, using Unity, using this resource, we're able to activate. And map to stars would become available once we choose this tradition. So once we make this available, it's going to use 19 Unity. We do have a edict fund, which means we could choose things up to 30 culture points, and it won't cost us anything out of our normal Unity amount above. So we could say, hey, if I want to start checking out some more systems really quick, and I don't care about my border, we could drop this one. We do map to stars, and it's going to have no impact to our Unity game. Now, what does map to stars do? Well, it increases our survey speed by 25%. There you go. Very similar to what our leader also had, right? Our scientist had an attribute, which was also 25 survey speed. So now we're talking about a plus 50% survey speed gain, which is great. And anomaly discovery is also another plus 10%. Ship hyperlane detection is a plus 1. So definitely going into our traditions and going into discovery is very good. And just the first pick and going to that edict is a huge gain. But there's another. So after you choose your discovery, the next time you get enough Unity and build it up, you can choose this next attribute, which is to boldly go. What this does is you can see survey speed is increased by another 35%. And science ship disengage chance is also increased. But really, it's the survey speed that's the most important. So now, not only are you getting 25% from your edict that you're setting up, you're also going to get another 35% from this attribute alone. So this is definitely going to speed up your surveying process and could be your beginning strategy, which I would recommend. So that's why this is tip number 3. Last tip about exploration is anomalies, and they come up as you keep exploring more systems. There's a base chance of you finding an anomaly, and there's different levels. So you can click on the microscope when it shows up to see an anomaly. You can also check underneath your situation log to find all your anomalies as well. So you can see each anomaly has a different difficulty, and the difficulty will tell you how many days it's going to take to get something done. You can also see here our discovery tradition gives us a plus 20%, but it actually makes us be able to do these faster, right? So that was the other benefit of choosing that first tradition. So there's different strategies that you can take when it comes to anomalies. Some people, as they pop up, as they discover them, they research them right away. The negative to this is that if you run into a, let's say, challenging anomaly, this can now, rather than 100 days, take up to 540 days. So that means your science ship is going to be sitting there chugging along for 500 days before it can move on to the next system to survey it, and then for you to potentially grab it and expand and build a starbase. The second strategy is maybe I only do ones that come up as routine or easy, and those are the ones that I do. Or there's a third strategy where you ignore these completely. You explore as fast as you can, expand as fast as you can. Once your borders meet all the other civilizations and you can't move any farther, then you go back with all your science ships and do all of your anomalies then. The negative to this strategy, however, is some anomalies will actually discover more resources that are available in the system, meaning there was many months maybe that passed by, years, that you had maybe, rather than 6 minerals, you had 12 minerals in this system that you haven't been collecting for that amount of time because you haven't yet explored it and you haven't done that anomaly. So those are all the beginner tips I have for exploration regarding Stellaris. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the game. I know a lot of new people are getting into it with the new DLC coming out. There's a lot of excitement. Each DLC that does come out, the game just keeps getting better and better, but I know it could be quite overwhelming. So I'm hoping these help. If you have any questions, please put a comment down below. If you have any other strategies that I didn't mention, put them down below. Hit that subscribe button. Maybe you can catch me live at twitch.tv/Saturn. I stream 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on weekdays, and you can catch me on the weekend as well, different timings and all that. So as always,
for the swarm.